And despite all that, firms, according to our survey results, are still focused very much on growth and on growing. From June 2011 to June 2012, 50% of respondents grew slightly and 3.1% grew significantly. That's not far off from last year's survey. Last year, in our survey, from June 2010 to June 2011, 58% of respondents said they grew slightly and 9.7% grew significantly. The number of firms that were flat is up this year from 16.1% in 2011 to 25% in 2012. And last year 40.7% said headcount was flat. On the flip side, 15.6% said they shrunk slightly, which was actually down from 2011 when our respondents said that 16% of them had shrunk slightly. So what's up? What's the perspective for the coming year? According to our survey results this year, managing partners, 9.4% of the managing partners responding to our survey said they expect to grow significantly by more than 10%, and that's versus 16% in 2011. While that number is down, it's still much higher than 2010, when only 3.8% of the respondents said they expected to grow significantly. The number who said they expected to grow slightly was virtually unchanged. It was about 65% of respondents for both 2012 and 2011. So where are the opportunities for 2013 for law firms? According to our managing partner survey, it's commercial litigation, IP, and employment. Those were the top 3 choices in 2011 as well, though the percentage of respondents who predicted growth in those areas was up significantly this year. In other words, so the top 3 practice areas cited in 2011 were cited once again in 2012, but the percentage of people who thought those areas were going to grow was up significantly higher. Class action, banking, M&A, and labor were also cited. Now, that differed slightly from the 2011 survey when white-collar and insurance litigation were also cited. What do managing partners see declining? According to our survey, real estate, M&A, banking, and securities. Now, how does this match up with other surveys? And that was the one thing I was curious about. So once again, I looked at a number of studies, but I also looked at the BTI consulting report. I went through it, and according to them, they cited these as growth areas in the coming year: big ticket IP litigation, data security, oil and gas, biotech and chemical mass torts, and white collar. My thought in all this, and it may be just a deficiency in our survey, my attitude about Pennsylvania firms is, where's energy? Every consultant I talk to, almost every law firm leader I talk to, talks about the boom from Marcellus Shale. And it's got a trickle-down effect on all kinds of work. I mean, everything from leases and real estate issues, employment issues, you name it. Interesting enough, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but when you look at law firm growth in Pennsylvania among the 100 largest law firms in Pennsylvania, most of the law firm growth was in Western Pennsylvania. And if you've been following what we've been writing about the Marcellus Shale and the legal, everyone thought the boom was going to be up in Northeast PA. And there is a lot of shale gas up there. But apparently it's all dry gas. And don't ask me to explain all this stuff because I don't. Zach Needles, my mid-sized reform reporter, could do this. But dry gas, the price is sort of dropped. But wet gas, which has other, dry and wet gas, if you can mine for that, if you can drill for that, the value is only going up. And apparently there's a lot of that in particularly southwest Pennsylvania. And so what we learned is that, and the general CERC papers are finally starting to catch on to this, apparently all the drilling activity was going on up here has all migrated to southwest Pennsylvania. And if you noticed, again, if you've been following the legal, a lot of the Pittsburgh firms have been bulking up their energy practices, or you've got Texas firms moving in and grabbing local lawyers. And just as sort of a side note on the whole energy play, early on when the Marcellus Shale started kicking off, I asked people, consultants, lawyers, what's going to happen? And a lot of lawyers told me, hey, look, there's not enough expertise in this state to handle the work. But then I started talking to some outside people who had come in, and I said, well, so are the Texas firms going to come in and just win out on all this work? And they said, no, you need local people, because you got to navigate in zoning and just the politics and all the permits and everything. So it's interesting. Every consultant I talk to says there's work to be had, and particularly if you go out to Western PA and you talk to Pittsburgh lawyers, they'll tell you they're making money off this stuff. So it's one thing, it may just be a deficiency in how we ask the questions of the survey, but how that doesn't show up in our survey results, I don't know. But if you think about the BTI thing, The BTI report, they cited oil and gas work. And I think there was just a piece in the Wall Street Journal the other day, some study, I think, was it 2020? The U.S. is going to, basically outpace Saudi Arabia in terms of oil and gas production. I'm not going to, environmental hat gone. I see dollar signs. So, there's work to be had.